It appears that former President Donald Trump might actually understand the gravity of the situation as he stares down 91 felony counts across 4 different criminal cases. According to a new report, he seems to be very concerned about the very real possibility of doing hard time. Now, this is from Rolling Stone. They report that over the past several months, Trump has taken to asking members of his inner circle if they think he'll be forced to wear, quote, one of those jumpsuits behind bars. Yes. That, and by the way, that's a fake picture. It's not real. Not a real mugshot. Just being honest here. That's what it is. Yeah, very clearly photoshopped. Nonetheless. If he does end up going to prison, and again, there'd have to be trial, conviction, all that stuff, then yeah, he would have to wear something like that. And apparently that, I'm very upset. Not being able to wear that goofy, that big suit with the big goofy tie. Can't do it. Not going to happen. And he thinks about that, and he's like,
can't let that happen.
No. Now, he also had wondered aloud if he'd end up going to Club Fed or, the fancy prison where rich people go. Very possible. Or if he would end up in a quote-unquote bad prison. Well, I would think that all prisons are bad. But yeah, you could point out how there is a difference between the nice, cushy Club Fed prisons for white-collar criminals versus the ones that, for everyone else, not rich, not powerful, So, okay, fair. Now, he also wondered things like if there's a chance that he would get lucky and only get house arrest. It wouldn't be very likely considering how, just the gravity of the crimes. 91 different felony counts across four different cases. And many of them, again, minimums of like 10 to 20 years. Now, he also wondered if the government would try to strip him of Secret Service protection while in prison, and what would happen if he were convicted and sentenced but reelected. Oof. Now, these are the thoughts of someone who seems to know they're in trouble and is pretty desperate to avoid it. That said, you wouldn't know it, really, if you were to take his statements like these at face value.
I don't even think about it. I'm built a little differently, I guess, because I have had people come up to me and say, how do you do it, sir? How do you do it? I don't even think about it.
During that interview, he just kept saying, oh, I don't even think about it. And then going on about how he obviously does think about it. He can't get it off his head. Yeah. No, he can't get it off his mind. So, no, he's thinking about it. Definitely thinking about it. So now here's the interesting thing, right? I believe, and I'm not the only one, a lot of people believe that this second run is his way of trying to stay out of jail. He thinks, well, if I'm president, you can put me in prison, right? Even back before he announced in 2022, there were people that were saying that, including people who were familiar with Trump's thinking. So the source told Rolling Stone that the ex-president had spoken out about how when you're the president of the United States, it's tough for politically motivated prosecutors to get to you. I'm not the only one, again, who thinks that if he wins, he'll find a way to punish his enemies by, well, appointing politically motivated prosecutors to weaponize the justice system against people who have wronged him in the past. Seems to have been very open about this for quite some time. Now, that same person added that Trump says, when, if, not if, he is president again, a new Republican administration will put a stop to the Justice Department investigation that he views as the Biden administration working to hit him with criminal charges or even put him and his people in prison. So let's be clear. President Joe Biden doesn't have anything to do with these investigations. He won't even weigh in. Okay. There is a special prosecutor that was appointed by Merrick Garland. That's Jack Smith for 2 of these cases. There's Fonnie Willis in Georgia. And there's Alvin Bragg in New York City. None of these people answer to Joe Biden. But of course, if you ask Republican conspiracy theorists or just Republicans in general, George Soros, we're all funded by George Soros. Yeah, okay. Look, here's the thing. the stuff that Donald Trump, the crimes that Trump is being charged with are, well, they're things that he brought upon himself. Okay, on the classified documents thing, for example, he was asked to return them. Pretty simple thing, right? He didn't. In fact, he went out of his way to hide them and told his own people to lie to investigators in order to hide them. And in Georgia, he tried to interfere with the election by trying to convince someone, the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to cheat on his behalf by finding him votes that he didn't earn so he could win the state. Wouldn't actually win the election, but he'd win the state. Of course, that's related to fake electors, fake elector plot. He had encouraged rioters through his Twitter account on January 6th to essentially intimidate Congress. And in speeches, and of course, had tweeted against his own vice president, trying to intimidate him in public messages so that he, not certify the election. And when he did certify the election, of course, he blasted out these messages against Mike Pence, which led rioters to want to try to murder him. Yeah, hang Mike Pence. That's what they said. And he knew about it. When he was told about it, he said, well, look, I guess they care more about the election than Mike does, than you guys do. I guess he deserves it. So this is all stuff that Trump could have chosen not to do. I mean, look, he had every right to contest, the election. He did. He went through the courts. 60 court cases later that he had lost. He could have just at the end said, okay, look, fine. I still think I won. All right, you can think that. Fine. You don't have any evidence? Fine. You can still think whatever you want. And you can run again. Who cares? Go ahead. But what you can't do is actively try to overturn the results illegally. And that's at least one of the cases is related to. Well, actually, two of the cases related to that. Look, when you try to cheat and do illegal things and do crime, well, crime's illegal. And so it just makes me think that if he's so terrified of being locked up now, I don't know, maybe he should have thought about not doing crime before. It just kind of seems like he's getting to the find out stage after effing around.